What's going on, everybody? My name is Jonathan, and I want to welcome you guys to the Don't Let Pornography Stop You From Purpose channel, where you find freedom from porn and sex addiction. And in this video is going to be the fourth part of a video series that we're doing called The Addicted Brain. We're going over porn and sex addiction's effect on the brain and mental health, different scenarios that make us weaker mentally and that can leave us more susceptible to warfare in our minds. How porn and sex addiction's effect on the brain makes it so challenging for us to break out and get freedom from the addiction, and also how to rewire our brain so that we can undo the damaging effects that porn and sex addiction has had on it, so that we can begin to really walk in freedom out of it. And in this fourth installment, we're going to talk about burnout and fatigue. Burnout and fatigue is one of those situations that really can leave you mentally not being able to make the proper decisions, and just leaves you at a more susceptible state to fall to the temptation of lust. So I'm going to really dive deep into burnout and its effects on the brain, and how this specific thing can really bring a much heightened level of warfare mentally that can cause you to really begin to spiral in porn and sex addiction. Feeling fatigued, feeling tired, feeling burnt out is a state that when you're in it, leaves you very, very prone to start experiencing a lot of warfare in the mind, and when the devil can really begin to come at you with temptation and urges and other things that's going to really lead you and keep you in pornography and sex addiction. I live this and I know this, and you already know when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling really burnt out, your decision making begins to really become impaired, and just your ability to process things. Whenever you're feeling tired or just overwhelmed or just burnt out with something, this particular state right here just leaves you so vulnerable. And the enemy knows this, because the enemy is smart. He's going to always, pick and choose his attacks. And when you're in a certain mental state, especially when you're tired, when you're feeling fatigued, it's going to weaken you. It's going to weaken you in your mind. It's going to weaken you in your ability to process and think. It's just going to weaken you in, your fight against certain temptations and things that may come, especially when you're dealing with a porn and sex addiction. That if you were in a more energized state and your brain was functioning from not a place of fatigue and of burnout, but of one that has been fully rested, that can really make, a much better and a more thought through decision. It's just not going to happen when you're in a state of burnout, and it's why the enemy really uses burnout and fatigue to really come at you hard. My experience of this is very, very extensive, because I know for me, in my 20-year journey of overcoming pornography and sex addiction, when I think of when I had my hardest struggles or when I was going through my toughest times with it, came when I hit a phase in my life where I really just got burnt out and just fatigued, got burnt out and fatigued in my body, got burnt out and fatigued with just, things that were happening kind of outside of my control, and just work in my environment and other things, as I was just grinding, trying to get things done, trying to keep going in life, trying to, stay away from porn and sex, trying to do all these different things. I just hit a point where I just got tired, and it lasted for about probably 6 to 8 months, where I started off slow. It kind of like creeped up on me, and as it began to increase, so did my ability to be able to resist the urge and temptation of indulging in pornography, masturbating. Throughout those 6 to 8 months, I just remember going through up and down swings where, I would go for a week, wouldn't do anything, to as that burnout and fatigue began to increase. Man, I was just going almost through a full scale relapse, where I was almost, every day to every other day, indulging in some type of pornography and masturbation. And it really began to just wear on me mentally, started to get me in a place where I wasn't exactly depressed, but I was just angry, trying to figure out, what was going on, what's wrong, why am I, so weak in this time. And it was, you can try to look outside to a lot of other things, but it really was just because I was just tired. I was just mentally tired, physically tired. And, my way of just snapping out of that was getting into the temptation of, wanting to do something sexual or do anything with sex. That was the only time too where, it actually went above porn to me getting into relationships with people that I knew had nothing good to do with it. A lot of stuff that I was experiencing around my life, I knew was very demonic too, just with some of the, women I was encountering that you just knew were not angels. And I just remember as I was going through that, seeing just all how that warfare was beginning to manifest into me having encounters with a lot of different things that I was just like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And that is really the danger that can happen when you start, getting into a place of burnout and fatigue. You will start to see a heavier presence of warfare begin to come to you in so many different ways. Different things are going to help, knock you off track, keep you stuck in a place you don't want to be stuck in, and just leave you feeling like you're just running on a treadmill, going very, very fast, but not getting anywhere at the same time. So that is why it's so important, man, that you keep yourself rested. You don't fall into stages of burnout. Making sure you're getting rest mentally, making sure you're getting rest spiritually, making sure you're refueling yourself, taking time for yourself, man, not trying to like push and grind to get things done. Grinding is so opposite of God's nature anyway. There's nowhere, as we walk with God, that grinding is in any way, shape, or form how we are supposed to operate and how we are supposed to work. We have a supernatural ability to be able to, when we partner with God, to be able to accomplish and do everything that God wants us to do from a place of rest, not grind. And it's finding that pace and finding that rhythm with God as you grow in your relationship with Him that can begin to get you from not working in a place of fatigue and of your own strength and working out of, your own ability, but beginning to really lean on God for everything and just trusting God and building your faith in that. That's one of the best ways to get you out of burnout that I've learned. It's not easy. I'm definitely still growing too when it comes to, figuring out this whole thing of burnout and rest and how to properly manage rest, how to work with that proper space and pace with God to be able to do everything that I need to do and trust God with all the results of it and not try to overexert myself to get something done that may or may not need to get done at that time, or just everything around working from a place of rest. It's something that I'm definitely, I'm still growing in myself and learning every day through, just praying, enhancing my relationship with God, trusting on Him, trusting for Him with steps, with what to do too. I think a lot of times we try, when we get burnt out, we don't ask God if this is the right step that we should be taking. We don't look for confirmation for things. We just kind of just go. We just pick up and go. It's just that thing of just trying to get a lot of things done just by ourselves. One of the quickest ways to get you burnt out is trying to do everything on your own. But yeah, that is why honestly burnout is so important, that we don't get into those spaces of it. And just really, man, just understanding that you need rest and so really starting to prioritize that. Give yourself mental health days, just go out. Don't worry about work for a couple of days or two. Give yourself time to just relax, do something that you enjoy, step away from things, step away from life. Give yourself, learn to plan breaks in just days where you can really step away and refuel. Refueling is so important. You don't want to run on empty. Refuel yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, getting yourself rest, beginning to really prioritize that. It's going to do wonders as you begin to work through a porn and sex addiction, because you will always be operating from an energized state. You won't be feeling tired. You won't be feeling burnt out. You'll be feeling purposeful in what you do, and it will just lead to better results. And not just your addiction, but in everything else that you're trying to do and work in, and for all the plans and stuff that you're trying to build that God has put in you to do. So that is going to be it for, this whole topic around burnout and fatigue, and why it's so important to stay away from it when you're working through a porn and sex addiction, so that you can mentally make better decisions and be more energized to be able to withstand the temptation and the urges that may come. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely be sure to leave a like. Definitely be sure to comment too. Any questions, feedback, concerns, would love to get any and all feedback. So leave that in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification as well, as I'm always uploading new content to help you guys really find freedom from porn and sex addiction. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of that new content when it does drop. Definitely be sure to check out some of the other videos I have and the rest of this videos from this series on the addicted brain as well. I'll leave a link in the description to the other parts if you missed those. So definitely be sure to check those out as well. And again, man, I just want to thank you guys for tuning into this video and the content. Man, I love all you guys, and I appreciate all the support and everything that's come with this channel. And man, just hope to see you guys in the next one.